All right, you're tuned to Love 101, the family station, and it is 8:50. You're now invited to listen to Your Goals Realized, brought to you by JN Fund Managers Limited.
Relationships that build wealth, create opportunities, the right solutions. That's what we do at J&N Fund Managers.
We're in pursuit of your financial security.
Portfolio and investment management services for individuals and corporate clients, from wealth building and risk management to preparing for a comfortable retirement. Strong, stable, secure.
We're in pursuit of your success.
Let's talk. J&N Fund Managers, your safer, smarter financial partner.
You're tuned to Love 101, and I see someone who has been MIA, missing in action, since last year. How are you doing? Dolores Jones, welcome back.
Good morning, Nadine, and good morning to our listeners.
You look fabulous.
Thank you, Nadine.
Good to have you.
And I don't think it's too late to wish you and our listeners a wonderful and blessed new year. It feels like ages, but it's really only a few weeks. But to be honest, Nadine, I really did miss my Love 101 family.
We missed you too.
And thanks to Haley Crosdale and Peter Gay Miller for holding down the fort for me.
And they did well.
Thank you.
They did well.
This year, Nadine, our team is going to take our listeners to another level financially. In 2015, we laid the foundation. In 2016, we're going to take it up a notch. But not to worry, we won't be leaving our new listeners behind.
All right, and that sounds great, Dolores. We're ready to go and grow. For the past few weeks, we've been reviewing our financial plans, financial stock taking, I believe is what it's called. And where are you taking us this morning?
So much to share this morning, Nadine, so much. So I better just jump right in. We're going to look at the assets we choose to acquire in our search to better the quality of our lives. In particular, are they assets that depreciate or appreciate in value over time? And if they are depreciating assets, then why is it important for us to be aware that they are when we are choosing to acquire them? What are depreciating assets? And if they are depreciating in value over time, then why on earth would we want to buy them? Well, the fact is that quite often we do. And to be honest, at times there is no getting around making those purchases. So let's start at the beginning with the definition. What is depreciating asset? A depreciating asset is an asset that has a limited effective life and can reasonably be expected to decline in value over the time it is used. Depreciating assets include such things as your computer, your phones, your electric tool, furniture, and motor vehicle, to name a few.
Okay. As you drive it off the lot,
absolutely.
it starts.
Depreciating assets the value starts to go down the moment you touch it.
Right.
For example, and as you said, the old saying goes, as soon as you drive that new car off the lot, the car loses 40% of the value.
Wow.
Other common depreciating assets are assets like your television, for example. As much as these assets in and of themselves, Nadine, are considered to be depreciating assets, the key is to decide how these assets are going to add value directly or indirectly to our lives. So then, listeners, it's really not about buying a $6 million car because in your mind, it lifts your profile, and it's the hottest thing on the road. Yet, in order to buy that car, you have to borrow the 6 million or most of it. And we have not even spoken about the maintenance of that high profile car. So Nadine and listeners, at the end of the day, we do understand that cars are essential to our everyday lives. However, cars should be bought more for functionality and finance instead of status. Not to mention even the gadgets we see around these days. The phones, for example, by the time we purchase one and get really comfortable, there is a new and obviously more expensive one.
Yeah.
So I heard this conversation recently with two young ladies, and it started out like this. You know, hot girl don't use button phone. So the other lady turned and she looked at her and said, so when I send you a message from this button phone, are you getting it? She said yes. When I call you, are you getting it? And she looked. She said, well, I tell you what, I do not want to be paying rent when I get to your age. So I'm going to be using my button phone
There you go.
and saving that money towards purchasing my house. So Nadine, it's just understanding
Everything adds up.
why we
Yes.
need it. As we know, Nadine, there are lots of assets that will cause us to get rich and be financially independent. Yet there are lots of other assets that will depreciate and will really not add value to our life. So spending 5 million on a car today versus spending 5 million towards the down payment of a house. Let's do the math and look at the future.
Yes.
Which will really add value to our lives. The important thing in all of this is to ensure that whatever asset we purchase, that asset is actually improving our net worth.
Okay. And all of this brings home to me how personal one's financial plans are. You know, the types of assets I wish to own, the quantities in which I want to own them will differ so much from one person to the next. And it seems to me that it has as much to do with lifestyle as it has to do with risk appetite, and Dolores?
Absolutely, Nadine. Very perceptive. And that's why the role of a professional is so important to investors. We are all individuals, but we are all different. Our portfolios will reflect this. A financial advisor will help you to find the ideal portfolio for you. Next week, we'll be looking at, among other things, how to extend the life of your depreciating asset.
Okay.
What makes sense and what really does not make sense. When it makes sense to borrow funds to purchase a depreciating asset, getting your priorities right, breaking free of keeping up with the job. So that's it. Here's what I want you to do. Apply all that we've looked at this morning to your lives. Think of all the purchases you have planned this year. Which